Today on the Thanksgiving edition of the Diz List, we discuss the top 5 things we're thankful for at Walt Disney World.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that ranks everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and welcome to episode 21.
We're old enough to drink.
Finally.
Yeah.
Where we discuss the top 5 things we're thankful for at Walt Disney World.
But before we get to the list, if you haven't checked us out on social media, be sure to follow along on Twitter and Instagram at DizListPod. If you're enjoying the show, follow us and leave a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can find more about how to support us by visiting our podcast homepage, anchor.fm/thedizlist. That's anchor.fm/the-diz-list.
What on earth is that?
Rob, I have an urgent news message for you.
What's going on? What is that music? Sounds like the news.
We have breaking news.
We do?
Yeah. Can you believe it? Breaking news. On a Sunday evening. Breaking news. Bob Iger is coming back as CEO.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
The Bob Iger.
Yep. Chapek out.
So, what happened? Like, I'm so confused right now. This is breaking news. This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Yeah. So, apparently, yesterday, when we recorded...
So the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
We traveled to the future?
Yeah, we traveled to the future. Yeah. Welcome to the future, folks.
Yeah.
Basically, what happened was we record on Sunday mornings, and we recorded a wonderful episode for you all, and you're all going to get to hear it. And it's about things we're thankful for. And
one of our dreams came true.
Literally, we wished this into existence. So you're welcome. Rob, when you texted me last night,
what, about 10:15 maybe?
Yeah.
I was watching, I don't know, what was I watching? I think the Chiefs game was, no, I don't know. I think so.
Either way,
yeah.
I had just signed out of our social media stuff for the night. I had just finished interacting with a few of our social media friends, and I get a text from you. What? Chapek out, Iger in? This can't be real. And I looked it up, and I was like, okay, CNBC is doing this. These aren't trolls.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. What?
So we decided to do this for a couple of reasons. One is obviously it's kind of a big deal, and based on some things that we put on our list, minor spoilers ahead, that our list is about things that we're thankful for, and we go into a little bit of detail about one particular person we're thankful for, and I listed Bob Iger, and what a great job he did as CEO. And we didn't get into too much hate because it's a Thanksgiving episode, but we mentioned the former CEO as of yesterday was a gentleman named Bob Chapek, who we find out is out, and one of my favorites, Bob Iger, is back. Now, I read it's a 2-year contract.
Right.
So they have time to find a suitable replacement.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
We talk about Vegas odds in this episode.
Oh, my goodness.
You want me to put Vegas odds on Josh tomorrow?
Yeah, well, that's actually a good bet. That would be my bet.
Yeah.
And he is head of Parks and what's the other term? It's
He's literally what Bob Chapek was before Iger.
I kind of like that guy.
Well, here's the thing.
Sure.
Everything that went wrong with Parks and Experiences while Iger was CEO and Chapek was in charge of Parks and Experiences was blamed on Chapek. Everything that went wrong with Parks while Chapek was CEO and Damaro was head of Parks.
I see where you're going with this.
Was blamed on Chapek.
Oh, boy.
It's Josh Damaro is a media darling, very similar to Bob Iger. That's why I say it's going to be Josh Damaro, and I will talk to you in the future.
Interesting.
2024, here we come.
All right. So thanks for listening to this.
Thank you.
And we're going to bring you now back to our regularly scheduled podcast.
And return you back to the future. We're back from the future. Whatever.
I don't know. I'm
We're
not
going-
good with the time travel timelines.
We're going back into time. All right. So don't think that this list is weird, but we are kind of like predicting the future in this particular list. So.
Well, it's our Thanksgiving episode. So tomorrow's Thanksgiving, if you're listening on Wednesday.
Right.
And one thing I would like to say right away that means a lot to both Nick and I know I can speak for both of us here, is we are very thankful for our loyal listeners and the people that have listened thus far, and especially thankful for how much they've shared the podcast. And we've gotten so many new listeners. And also, since we're being thankful, thank you to those new listeners. And I hope you enjoy our little show here and our content. Anything you want to add to that one, Nick?
Yeah, I'm extremely thankful for all the interactions we get on social media. The messages from you guys are wonderful. The answers to our questions or polls obviously help to bring us some interesting content. But thank you so much. Thank you especially to those of you who've been with us from the beginning and shared this with people, and now they are now enjoying it. So continue to do that. We really, really appreciate it.
It's been a pretty crazy weekend here in Western New York for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Number one, and this is going to definitely date this episode, but in Western New York, there has been a massive amount of snow. I mean, if you've looked at the exact measurements today, I read that the total amount of snow in Buffalo, there are only 5 players on the Buffalo Bills that are taller than the amount of snow that we've gotten. So there's more snow than 6'5" Josh Allen at this point.
77 inches of snow they got in Orchard Park.
The Bills Mafia fans went to some of the homes of the players.
Went door to door.
Door to door, shoveled them out, got them to Detroit. So for the non-football fans, the Buffalo Bills can't play their home game, so the Detroit Lions were nice enough to open their stadium and let them play in Detroit. So yeah, we've had a lot of snow. Nick, you just said on the way here it was a little disastrous driving over to the studio here.
Yeah, there's a few people off the side of the road, and it's weird because lake effect being what lake effect is, it's all blue skies above me, and then to the south it's black because you can see like the lake effect coming into the southern part of the county here.
Sheesh, that's wild. And then today will be the last day of this, but I've been watching The Little Mermaid, The Little Mermaid the musical, all weekend. My son had a role in The Little Mermaid, and a few of our listeners are also in that show. So my son got to play Grimsby.
They did a great job.
And then I hope our listeners who are Disney fans know who Grimsby is. Grimsby is the servant, the handler, the caretaker.
Yep, I was going to say caretaker. Yeah,
since Prince Eric, the king, the father, had died. So so my son did a great job. I'm super proud of him, and so it was pretty fun. You got to see it last night.
I did. It was great.
It was funny.
A lot of our students, all of them are our students, but being able to see students in a different atmosphere is kind of cool, and it was a great show. They did a great job.
Anyway, so congrats to my son, the cast, the crew, and it's pretty awesome. So shout out to them. Let's see, we got a long episode today. Today we're going to focus on things that we are thankful for. Mm-hmm. And should we take a quick break?
Sure. We'll be right back after the Skittles halftime show with TLC.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
TLC, wasn't last week rides that needed TLC?
Yeah. They heard the episode and decided they would come.
Well, I don't know if anyone has looked on our social media recently, but we finally have broken through to the fan art category.
Yeah.
So a good friend of the show, my college roommate, Todd Stahl, he submitted some fan art that, should we tell people or should we just have them go and check it out on social media?
I think they should go check it out.
All right. Pause the show. Don't forget to come back, folks. And then you can listen to TLC perform the halftime show, and we'll be right back. So, in order to get our podcast started, we needed some way to get it out for everybody to hear. So, what we decided to do was go online and look around and try to find someone who can distribute our podcast to all the main services for us. We did a little research and we found that the best one was Anchor. Now, Anchor's a Spotify company, and Spotify is something that I use every day, but it also goes to other platforms. It's an easy way to make a podcast, and everything is right there in the app. So, for example, Anchor has tools that you can record, edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. If you don't have any professional editing software, you can do it right there on your phone. When you host your podcast on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on all the different listening platforms. I do Spotify, but you can also do Apple Podcasts and many more. Okay, students, let's review. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. If you don't have all the equipment and all the computer editing software, you can do it right on your phone. And the best part is it's free, like free, which is great for sure. Go and download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Go for it. Happy Thanksgiving, folks.
Welcome back. Did you chase any waterfalls over the break?
I don't know. I'd mainly stick to the rivers and the lakes that I'm used to.
Yeah.
Or lagoons.
Yeah. Seven Seas.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So today we really wanted to, and we've already discussed a little bit about our list. We haven't revealed our list, but we both took apparently completely different routes to what we're thankful for. But it's going to be kind of make it that much more fun.
Well, I just checked, and the Las Vegas odds are saying that our lists will not overlap at all. Sometimes when I look at the Vegas odds, it says, what are the chances Rob and Nick will overlap? And the chances are pretty high.
Yeah. So it's like a plus 10,000 right now.
See, you're good with that. Yeah, you open up FanDuel. Are we in FanDuel yet?
No.
Not yet?
We're on Caesars.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the one that Kevin Garnett is part of? That's MGM, I think.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Yeah.
I think he's MGM. All right, should I just kick this off?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
so
let's do it.
We're going to take very different approaches on this, and hopefully everyone is filled with turkey and maybe a spicy drink or two.
Yeah.
And you'll enjoy our lists here. A little bit of fun here on Thanksgiving. Number 5. Number 5 is. It's dedicated to a specific person. And this specific person, I think, is one of my favorite people in the entire Walt Disney Company. And I know what you're thinking. This is not a sarcastic, and I'm not going to go right to Bob Chapek. No. This person, I actually had a chance to read their book within the last couple years, and he's very similarly related to Bob Chapek as far as their positions, and that is the great Bob Iger.
Yeah.
I love Bob Iger. The book is fantastic. Bob Iger is, I don't even know the exact time, but even from listening to that book, he has been CEO of the Walt Disney Company for a pretty large chunk of time. And his leadership and vision brought some pretty amazing things to the Walt Disney Company during his tenure. Two of which was that he had the vision to purchase Marvel and Lucasfilm, which are two of my favorites.
Now there's a whole group of people who are going to be listening, or maybe they aren't listeners, but certainly on Diz Twitter,
Sure.
There's a whole group of people who will say that the reason people hate Bob Chapek is because of Bob Iger's purchases that put Disney in the hole.
Really?
Yeah. It's a whole, I mean, I don't get involved with that
I wouldn't
ridiculous
either.
drama, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I'm with you, though. I think it was a smart purchase.
Well, and then I have to bring it back to the parks here. It's not just how great he is and how great he is for the Disney Company, but the fact that he made those moves made it possible to bring IP, intellectual properties, like Star Wars, like Marvel on the West Coast and Guardians of the Galaxy on the East Coast, bring those experiences to the parks. And those are some of our favorite experiences at the parks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very thankful for Bob Iger, his leadership, and just the way that he had a vision for the Walt Disney Company. I miss him dearly, and highly recommend his book if you get a chance to check it out at any point. It's definitely fantastic.
Does he mention in his book anything about how far superior Ithaca College is to Cortland? Because he's a bomber.
He does. I don't think he mentions Cortland, but he does mention Ithaca quite a bit, and he definitely loved his time there, and it meant a lot to him. It's definitely a cool part of the book.
Go Bombers.
For sure.
Beat Cortland.
Do you have any listeners that are going to be throwing their devices or punching?
Not that I know of, but if there are any Cortland listeners, I'm sorry you went to that school. 6 years for a 4-year degree. All right. Anyway.
So that was my number 5. Good old Bob Iger. What's your number 5?
Bob Iger. That's a good pick. My number 5 is not, so Bob Iger did not make my list.
Well, so we're right on track here.
Totally different list. My number 5 is air conditioning.
Oh.
I'm thankful.
I am too.
What am I thankful for at Disney World? I'm thankful for air conditioning.
Not on my list, but should be.
And I know that's kind of like a joke type thing, but
not at all.
In reality,
not at all.
In reality, I am thankful when I'm there for air conditioning. And I will say that yes, they've turned down or turned up. I don't know how you would say that. They've turned down the
how
level.
About altered the temperature.
They've altered the temperature so that it's not as cold as it used to be. And I will be honest with you, there have been times where we have to pack a light long sleeve shirt for my wife and my daughter because they get freezing cold in some of those restaurants, which is fine because it is hot as the surface of the sun when we go in the summer. So I'm extremely thankful for air conditioning. I actually was already having this on my list. And as I've mentioned before, I often ask my son, what would you be thankful for? And he said, air conditioning. I was like, wow, cool. You're on the same page as I am.
When my kids were young, anytime we would go from, 102 to walk into, let's say, PhilharMagic where it's air conditioned, it's almost comical that I can predict that they'll turn and go, I'm cold. Yeah. And, but we should be thankful for that.
Yeah.
you know? They don't do that as much anymore. They're better with the temperature. But when you have younger kids and you're going from mega hot to mega cold, you're going to hear, I'm cold.
Yeah. And you probably experience it the same way that my son does. So I wear contacts. You and my son both wear glasses.
Yeah. I don't like contacts.
And when you go in and out of the cold, hot when it's that humid, it can be a little bit annoying for a little while, but I still think that it's something I'm very thankful for. And I think even people that have to deal with the foggy glasses are thankful for. I'm thankful for it even when I'm walking by, like, you know how you walk down Main Street and if the doors are propped, you can feel that air rush by sometimes. I know that I complain about the heat in Disney World, and I do now more as a joke than anything, but in reality, that air conditioning is really kind of a lifesaver for some people. Like, they really, heat sickness is a real thing at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, we experienced it last summer.
Yeah,
when we were getting on what was the ride that we were waiting for? Oh, Slinky Dog.
Yeah.
They had to bring in the stretcher and everything for that poor lady, and they stopped the ride for 20 minutes.
It was at 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, and
she was insane.
Yeah.
And it was a true emergency. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm thankful for air conditioning.
That's a great call. Great call.
How about you? What number 4 for you?
Number 4 is one I know you're going to agree with me on for sure. And I've mentioned a couple stories on the podcast before about how important this is specifically to the Walt Disney Parks. And I know we at least have 1 or 2 listeners that are part of this group. And this group is the cast members. I am so thankful for the cast members for so many reasons, one of which is they are mega helpful all the time. They're always positive. They're always directing you where to go. They are absorbing anger a lot of times.
Oh,
which
my God.
I've experienced firsthand, or witnessed, not experienced, witnessed some people really laying into this poor girl who is a cast member and just ripping her apart for where they had to keep their stroller. And I went up to the poor girl afterward and I just said, I want to do the cast compliment thing. How do, and she showed me how to do it and she was very thankful. And I just went in and said how great this particular cast member was, that she was, sort of metaphorically getting her head torn off and dealt with it. So cast members, a lot of times they're kind of the unsung heroes. I mean, a lot of times they're college kids. They're part of the college program, and this is a dream they've had their entire life to be able to work for the Walt Disney Company, and they come to work every day super happy. And I'll tell you, if I end up down in Florida after retirement, I would not mind being a cast member part-time.
Cool.
Yeah, I would not mind doing that. I guess it depends, though. I don't want to be the bald guy on parking lot duty.
I think since you have that background in art, you would make one of those. You would be great working in custodial.
The street sweeper. I would do that.
Draws
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, I think you'd do a great job with it.
As long as they'd let me wear a hat. I know this is not a visual medium, but I do not have any hair on top of my head, and I burn fast. So as long as they let me wear something on my noggin, I'll be good to go.
Yeah, fair-skinned and bald is not a good mix.
Yeah, my Irish blood. Mm-hmm. So number 4, thank you to the cast members. If there's any listening, yes, you made the list. Congratulations, you guys are awesome. Mm-hmm. So that's my number 4. Nick, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is more of a thought than it is an actual thing.
Oh, I don't know where you're going with this.
My number 4 is the fact that there is variety.
Oh, okay. So, thankful for variety.
I'm
That's
thankful
cool.
for the fact that no matter what mood I'm in on a given day,
there is something
for me.
Into. That's cool. All right.
And not just me, but anybody. Yeah. I think, now I understand that it can be cost prohibitive, right? It's not a cheap place to visit.
Right.
But I do think anybody who can afford a trip to Disney owes it to themselves to do it, even if you think you won't like it. I have told this story before on this podcast. I will tell it again right now. In 2018, my wife and I decided we were going to go to Disney in 2019. We started planning, and in the mornings, standing, having coffee, greeting students as they enter the building, Rob and I would talk every morning.
There aren't too many stories where you admit you're wrong, so I love this story, by the way.
This is the only one where I've ever been wrong. So when I told Rob we were going and we're doing it big, we're going for 10 days and this is what we're doing. We're doing this and this and this, and we're doing all these things because we're only going once. So we really want to make it, a big, worthwhile trip. We're only doing it once. And Rob said, no, you're not.
I think I laughed for a while first.
He
and
did.
Then said
he
that.
did. No, you're not. I said, yeah, we're doing it once. Like, I want to travel other places. No, you'll be back. 18 months later, I owned DVC, and then now I'm on a Disney podcast that I host. So it's what I'm saying. The reason I tell that story is because I didn't think that I would enjoy it as much as I do. And a big part of why I enjoy it is that there is something for everyone, and there's something for everybody in whatever mood they're in.
Yeah.
If you want to be an introvert for the day because the people are, driving you bonkers, cool. You can do that. And you can do it in the parks, by the way. There are places in the parks to be an introvert.
Yeah. We could do top 5 places to relax, chill, and get away from the crowds a little bit.
So for me, it's variety, and that includes so much. The rides, the parks are different.
Right.
Every park has its own attitude to it. Every ride, every section of the park has its own attitude to it. The resorts are all different and themed differently, and you really feel it. When you go to the Polynesian, it just feels like you're in that Polynesian culture, if you will. Mm-hmm. The cast members are walking by saying aloha. Wow. It's very relaxed. So for me, the variety available at Walt Disney World is my...
and a good contrast to that one, too, is, well, there's a couple. One of them, you look at the boardwalk. So the boardwalk is always kind of a party because you're on the boardwalk. Yeah. Everybody's shopping. There's people everywhere. If that's your thing, if you want to have a good time and party, that's a good spot for you. Across the lake from there, where you've stayed, and I'll have you comment on this.
Yeah.
It's more of a family style party at the beach club.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
So even kind of a different vibe. I would say I like this answer because now that I'm looking into it a little bit deeper, there really is, all these different flavors of resorts. Yeah.
So even when you think about the fact that the beach club and yacht club are pretty much it's pretty much one resort, right? They're brother sister resort. They have such different moods that they themselves provide variety.
Yeah.
And when you walk over to the boardwalk, you don't feel like you're on a boardwalk in Florida. You really don't. I mean,
It's like you're in New Jersey.
It reminds me of the Jersey Shore. It
Yep.
reminds me a little bit of because it's warmer. It kind of reminds me more of like the boardwalk in Myrtle Beach.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's
Yeah.
I love the variety there. It's why I bought into DVC, because I know that I can continue going there, still feel comfortable, but still experience something new every time because there is so much variety.
Right.
So that's my number 4.
That's good. That's good too. My number 3 thing that I am thankful for, again, is I'm pulling back a little bit and I'm going further back and looking at all of Walt Disney World and say, okay, I'm thankful for this, that we get to have everything that we do in Walt Disney World. And my number 3, and Jesus, a lot of these could be number 1 on my list or anybody's list. And my number 3 is thankful for the Imagineers. I am thankful for the brilliant minds that went into creating all of these incredible rides. I made a list, and this is not in any particular order, and I'm sure I'm leaving people out, but just some really important people who were part of the creation of Walt Disney World. We got John Hench, Ex Astencio, Claude Coates, Joe Rohde, Mary Blair, Tony Baxter, Mark Davis, Marty Sklar, Harper Goff. If you don't know any of those names, look them up. They're fantastic. They've done so much to create this incredible, amazing atmosphere that is the Walt Disney World. So I know you kind of agree with me on that. You have
I mean, I didn't think of putting Imagineers down.
I knew we would. I knew our list would be different for this reason.
But I will tell you that, you have to think. I mean, Joe Rohde.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That whole park is his.
Yeah. That.
For the most part.
Yeah. I mean, until they put Zootopia in, but whatever.
Right. Animal Kingdom is it's mainly his project from the beginning.
Baby. Yeah. And these Imagineers didn't just do the parks. Those resorts that we just talked about having the different variety.
Yep.
You can feel the personality. You can feel the love that was put into those. If you know who Mary Blair is, you will recognize Mary Blair's art forever, right? I mean, it's one of those things that's, there are very few artists who have that very unique style that everybody knows it's definitely them, right? It's definitely Mary Blair. And I feel like Disney has a lot of those, right? That Mary Blair for me is probably the one that's the most recognizable, but Joe Rohde's work is probably the most influential in my mind. But those are great.
Well, and the cool thing too about Mary Blair from the art perspective is that Mary Blair's style is so completely different than the animation you see in the films.
Yeah.
So when you think of Walt Disney, a lot of times you think of the animation and the characters. The way that Mary Blair creates her characters are almost oversimplified, almost like I think the best way to describe it, if you don't know, is it's almost kind of like a Fisher Price character. Almost.
Yeah.
So Mary Blair, her 2 probably best known works within Walt Disney World, and she's in land, is Small World is sort of her baby. And the other one is this enormous mural that is in the Contemporary Resort. And those 2 things that you may have seen, you may not, but that's Mary Blair's artwork. But that's what I think is so great about it, is that style is so different, but also the most important part about it is that it is timeless. That at first I feel like people would say, well, it's kind of within this style of, kind of the late 60s, mid 70s style, but it has stood the test of time. You know, like a traditional American tattoo. It's a specific style, and it just keeps going and going and going. And that's Mary Blair, and not only just Mary Blair, but you look at this list of people that I've mentioned, and their style and creation has just been. I mean, like Haunted Mansion. You know, obviously everyone knows that's my favorite, but you look at the Haunted Mansion, and it never just seems dated to me. I mean, I love it so much. Obviously,
You like that, right?
I'm wearing rose-colored glasses. I know that.
You like it?
Maybe I'm wearing purple-colored glasses. Anywho, I just think that these Imagineers just hit a bullseye every single time.
Look,
nearly.
there's no way that I could possibly argue with putting Imagineers on this list. They're not on mine only because we took a little bit of a different path here.
Yeah. And I think we're going to agree with both of ours the way through.
That was a great pick. I really and truly think that the Imagineers, especially because they don't get the same kind of credit, right?
Yeah.
You know, they're working at WDI, right? Walt Disney Imagineering, right? WDI. Working for them must be a dream job for a lot of them. Today's Imagineers is probably a dream job. But imagine when you, like those original Imagineers who had no idea what they were getting themselves into. Mm-hmm. And here, just do this. And they've come up with some of the most classic, timeless, like emotion provoking rides and attractions. You know, they are up there with the people who write and animate the feature films.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, they're up there with the Sherman Brothers, right?
Yeah. Oh, see, that's a good one too. I mean, they still count as Imagineers because they're creating some of the most iconic songs for these rides. So you go through Small World. I don't think he wrote.
They wrote Small World.
They did, but I don't think they wrote Grinning Ghosts. Maybe. I know the lyrics were done by somebody else too. But anyway, the point is that they've written so many famous songs. Didn't they do the Mary Poppins songs too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about Disney and you can't separate Disney from those people, right? You can't separate Disney World or Disneyland from those people you mentioned.
Yeah.
From the Sherman Brothers. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
I think it's a great.
That's a good addendum to my list.
You know, it's a great. That's a great pick, Rob. It really is. I like it.
It's my number 2, which we'll get to in a second, is also closely related to what we just said.
Okay.
But let's get to yours.
My number 3.
Again, I'm looking for a different flavor, and then we can kind of come back to mine. What do you have?
A different flavor.
Yeah.
You don't say.
Yeah.
My number 3 is food.
Whoa, perfect timing. Wow.
My number 3 is food. I'm thankful for the variety of food, right? We just talked about variety, but I'm thankful for the fact that they prioritize good food. And not only good food, but safe food, right? Rob and his family have dietary restrictions.
Our Vegas odds are over. We're overlapping. At some point, we'll see.
Yeah.
But continue. I can jump in, or we can continue.
Spoiler alert: our Vegas odds were over a while ago. Okay, but I just didn't want to say it. So I cashed in. Honestly, like the fact that the food there is almost a priority, right? And it's I think second only to your park and resort experience is they really put an emphasis on having really solid food choices. Now, I will say I'm not thankful for the quick service choices in Magic Kingdom. I think they are severely lacking both quick service and table service. The only table service in my mind worth eating at in Magic Kingdom is over at Jungle Skipper's Canteen. But
love that place.
But I will say that they put a priority on good quality service and bringing in the world's best chefs. When you look over at Disney Springs, they've got Morimoto Asia, they've got Chef Art Smith, they've
World Showcase.
Yeah, they've got Wolfgang Puck. But yeah, I mean, World Showcase has some of the most amazing food from all over the world. So I'm really thankful for that. One piece I'm not thankful for, and I was going to mention this in my dishonorable mention, but I'll bring it up now since it is Thanksgiving, is the turkey leg.
I
The turkey leg's got to go. I don't get it. It's like walking around with a hammy leg, right? It's like ham.
It's funny. You and I, as much as we like, to eat meat and grill and like that's I mean, Nick's really good at it. I enjoy cooking, but in a different way. He's the grill master. He loves smoking meats and I also like to cook quite a bit. And, meat, I apologize to anyone that's listening that is a vegetarian. I respect your beliefs, but we love this. But the funny thing is, as much as we love to eat a good hamburger, steak, whatever, when we, neither of us, I don't think you've ever had it. I don't think I want it. I don't think I've ever even had it. Maybe when I was real little, my dad got one, but I don't remember ever going, I need that.
Yeah, I have had a smoked turkey leg before, but not at Disney.
Renaissance Festival.
It's something like, I can't remember where, probably a fair of some sort, yeah.
Sure.
But, dear God, people walk around with these like 3-pound hunks of like hammy turkey leg. So that's something I'm not thankful for, but I am thankful for all the other food. They, even things where they could phone it in. We did a dessert party our first year because, like I said, we were going to do everything big. We did a dessert party at Magic Kingdom for the fireworks, and I will tell you that even those desserts where they could have phoned it in because you captive audience, you already paid your money, they were solid desserts. They were really good.
Yeah, they want you to come back and do it again.
Yeah, I mean, they had the zebra
smart.
domes, and they had it was great. It was phenomenal. So food for me, number 3. But that's kind of the tourist I am. That's the traveler I am. Food is a big part of our vacation. So
well,
go on.
So my number 2, kind of piggybacking on the whole thing with the Imagineers, is in the mid '60s, Walt Disney decided he was going to start purchasing mass amounts of land in Orlando. I'm going to assume most people listening know this story, so I won't get into it too much. And unfortunately, in 1966, Walt Disney passed away. And everyone was a little confused and didn't really know what to do. We've purchased all this land. We have plans to go ahead with this gigantic thing. I don't even know if they had a name for it at that point, in Orlando, Florida, which was Walt Disney World. So the number 2 person that I am thankful for is Walt's brother, Roy, because Roy took the reins and made his brother's vision a reality. And when you enter the Magic Kingdom and you come right in there before Main Street, in the middle of the square, there is Roy Disney sitting on a bench. And too many people walk right past Roy and keep going. But Roy is the unsung hero of that park. That park exists. Not only Walt, don't get me wrong. Walt he's the person that came up with the concept.
Yeah, it was his vision, but
it's his vision.
Yeah, without Roy.
Roy took over and said, we are making this park. Mm-hmm. So what am I thankful for? I am thankful for Roy, and Roy taking the reins from his brother, making it happen, bringing in the army captains that the 2 boats are named after now, and making it a reality and having this park really become what it's blossomed into and grown and grown and grown. And then his son took over for a while too. But anyway, my number 2 goes to Roy O. Disney.
That's a great pick. And I think that too often, it's called Walt Disney World, right? But, without Roy, we don't even have an Orlando park. And the amount of things that were done in Orlando would not exist, right? I mean, when people think Disney parks, I know that they think Disneyland, right? Mm-hmm. But if you think about Disney parks in general, most people worldwide think about Disney World, I believe.
Right.
That's not me saying like Disneyland, the original,
is inferior in any way.
No, I'm just saying that I think when you say to someone, I'm going to Disney.
And then stop right there.
In the world, not in the United States, because, that's an East Coast, West Coast thing, right?
Yeah, correct.
In the world, I'm going on a Disney trip. I think they think of Florida.
Yeah.
the 4 parks, right? And
It's the size of Manhattan.
yeah, and you know, I think that the other thing is that we have to be thankful for there is the fact that Roy honored his brother and really didn't deviate from his vision too much.
Not too much.
You know, the building of Epcot.
Right, which is definitely different than originally what Walt wanted,
Well, yeah,
obviously.
but I mean, they're not going to build an actual literal
but
city.
they took Walt's vision and they made it into something. You know, if Walt were alive, and would it be what it is today? No, because the other Imagineers got involved and made it into what it is today, which most people love. But that original concept and the acronym Epcot, not many people even know that it's the
Come on, Rob. Experimental
community
prototype.
community of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Should we go back and edit that?
No, I think we'll leave it in.
I figured.
It shows some
Yeah,
flaws.
he's not going to let me. I know it. He only lets me pause and edit if I cough. Which my cough is gone, by the way.
yeah.
I'm feeling much better.
Yeah. So Roy Disney is a great pick. And I know that when we were talking about food, you said the Vegas odds had ended.
Yeah, I'm curious.
But the Vegas odds ended earlier.
Cast member?
Cast members.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
number 2 for me.
You've had some great
Yeah.
experiences with cast members.
Number 2 for me are cast members. We have had some great experiences with cast members, both in a food experience way, and in like guest services type of way.
Yeah, you've had some great stories with your kids.
Yeah.
You have a good one you want to share with. I know of a couple that you've told me.
So probably
anything specific.
Probably the one that stands out for me was like when my daughter lost her magic band.
Oh, right.
And
You were at Beach
at
Club?
Beach Club, yeah. And she's a little kid. She's devastated. She thinks that she's ruined everything, and oh my gosh, the world's ending. Everything's caving in on her. And the cast member was just really accommodating, right? They took her and my wife and her went and found a cast member, and he walked with my daughter all over the place and to try to calm her down, brought her into the gift shop to find a magic band to replace it with, and gave her all these stickers, and took all of her information down, and was just like so kind to this little kid who was devastated. The vacation's over, right? We're 2 days in, the vacation's over. And made it so that it turned into a positive experience where, hey, you remember that time that I lost my magic band and that guy did this and this and this? Just absolutely amazing. I'm always one to make sure that we thank the cast members, a cast member compliment. One that we experienced, which is just a random, our wives were being ridiculously silly.
I don't know where this happens often. I'm not sure what direction you're going here.
At Hollywood Studios. We're leaving for the day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we're getting pictures done.
Yeah.
And then they jokingly say, "Oh, you guys want to get a picture with the Dizless dads?" And the photographer, shout out to Haley, by the way.
Right.
But the photographer says, "I think you guys follow me on Instagram and I follow you." And I was like, "Wait, what?" We've been doing the podcast. Like,
We had just started.
Literally, the first episode had dropped 2 days earlier.
Yeah.
And we had started the Instagram page like 3 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
And she was so kind and just like, "Oh my gosh, oh, yeah, I follow you guys on Instagram, blah, blah, blah." And like took pictures for us. And I mean, that's her job, right? She's taking that. She was a PhotoPass person, but still like
But super nice.
super nice. And like,
Yeah.
just the fact that she heard our wives making fun of us, because at that time it was still a joke to them.
Yeah. And then we're still going.
Yeah.
And now we're old enough to drink.
Yeah. That interaction, or, I can go on and on, like the wait staff at restaurants that we eat at, Topolino's Terrace. That was like the best interaction I've ever had with any waiter ever. Like, he was super knowledgeable, and we've got younger kids in a very fancy restaurant, and he was like super accommodating to them. Not that our kids weren't acting like they should. They were acting exactly how they should in that kind of a situation. But he was very like, like squatted down to take the order from my daughter, who was, giving her own order, and asked my son, like, oh, well, how would you like your steak cooked? And he was like kind of shocked because he's like, medium rare. Like, that's how you eat a steak. Like, why would you ask me that?
Well, not too many
I know.
people's kids know that
Yeah.
your son is, I would call him a foodie, actually.
Yeah, he's pretty ridiculous.
Very, very knowledgeable.
So for me, I am 100% with your pick as being thankful for cast members. And I do want to say, I feel like this whole episode, we've read them like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't really think that I can rank them, so to speak.
I'm thankful for. I completely agree.
So like,
Yeah.
you read cast members 4, I think it was, but like,
These are just in general. They're 5 things we care a lot about. Now, we don't have to get to my number 1 right now, but for example, when I do, it's something that was important, and you'll see why moving forward. But I think if you look at all of these, you look at, Roy Disney, he's important, but he's just as important as the Imagineers that made these rides. So it's, it's a top 5, but it's also a 5.
Yeah, it's like, these are the 5 things that we like, or that we're thankful for. I'm so, like, at first I was kind of skeptical about doing this episode. I mean, I was like, are people going to care? And I don't even care if people care, because this is a it gets you in the spirit, right?
Yeah, and it's a shout out episode. Yeah. Even to some of these people who have passed away. It's cool.
Yeah. All right, why don't you go ahead and give us your number 1, because we've talked about cast members a lot. So.
Yeah, and I've hinted at this a little bit, but my number 1 it's a little bit of both. I mean, it's a little bit of cast member, and it's a little bit of the way the park runs. And my number 1 is how great Walt Disney World is to people with food allergies. So when my son was, I think he was 2 years old, he would wake up in the middle of the night screaming, and my wife would take him and bring him into the living room and put on Cars, because that was the movie he liked at the time, and Monsters, Inc., I think, was the other 2. And he would just watch those movies over and over, and we didn't know what was wrong with him. So we ended up taking him to the doctor, and long story short, they figured out, well, your son has celiac disease, which means he can't eat gluten. So at that point, we all kind of went, all right, well, we're going to cut gluten out of our diet. And I decided I wasn't going to by choice. And shortly after, my wife found out, surprise, she also had celiac disease. So eating out is difficult for us. Eating while traveling is very difficult for us. So it was a few years after, can't remember exactly how old my son was, maybe kindergarten, maybe first grade, we took our first trip to Disney, did a little bit of research, and found out that Walt Disney World is really good with people who have food allergies. And that when you go out to eat somewhere, you let them know, and that a chef comes out. And we're like, the chef comes out? And first place we went to, we walked up to order hamburgers. Might have been Cosmic Rays. It was one of those quick service hamburger joints. And we said, we would like to order gluten-free food. And right away the cast member said, no problem. I'll go get the chef for you. Or they hit a button or something. Yeah. I can't remember. And shortly, I'd say within 5 minutes, out comes the chef. The chef walks right up, says, welcome. What's the food allergy that we can help you with today? And we're like, well, I think we said we're gluten-free, and these two have celiac disease. And the chef said, oh, no problem. We have a gluten-free bun we can give you. We have this. You can eat this, and this. And that was over with. And I looked at my wife, and she had the biggest smile on her face. And she looks at me and she goes, we're coming back here.
Yeah. And
I went, great, because, there was a point in my life when I was younger where we would go every year on our family trip. And, through college and beyond, when my wife and I first got together, we didn't go for quite a while. There's a big chunk where we didn't go. And that is really what helped sell it for my wife, and making sure that our son was safe and that she was safe and that we weren't going to get sick while we were in the parks. And I can't remember a time where either my wife or my son had an issue with cross-contamination when we've been at the Disney parks.
Yeah. I mean, so as somebody who does not have to live with a food allergy, who can quite literally eat whatever they want, I think it's amazing that they do that, right? Our first trip was with my mother-in-law, and she is allergic to nuts and she's allergic to mushrooms, which are completely different from, a gluten allergy where, wheat's and everything. Or so I thought. Because as it turns out, a lot of the alternative breads that they use nut flours and stuff like that.
Right, like almond flour.
Yeah.
Sure.
So they were so amazing. Oh, can you eat this? Is it cross-contamination an issue for you? Like what,
Yep.
what kind of nuts? Is it all nuts? Is it just tree nuts? It really is nice to see how well they treat their guests. I mean, that's what they are. They're guests. You're not a customer. You are a guest, and they want to make sure that you're safe and that you're happy. I just think that it's really nice that for people who can't find stuff to eat when they go traveling,
Yep.
that when you're going to other places, you're relegated kind of to like almost like a second class citizen, and you can only eat at these places. You're probably eating at a lot of chain restaurants when you travel because this one, I know that I can eat this at this place.
We open up the Chipotle app.
Yeah.
Jokes aside, like that's one of the places we can eat and
Right.
we're safe there. Okay, where's the closest Chipotle? Where's the closest McDonald's? We can just have fries there. Like they don't have gluten-free buns, but you're exactly right. The chain places are usually pretty consistent with that stuff.
So I think it's cool that you will get to you've been able to experience vacations where your safety was a priority, right?
And it was everywhere, and they're trained. That's the other part too. I can't tell you the amount of times we've gone out to eat at any restaurant. I don't want to throw anyone specific under the bus, but the wait staff will come up and my wife will say, I have celiac disease. My son and I do. We're gluten free, and the server will look at us and say, "What's gluten?" And we panic.
Yeah.
We're like, "Oh, geez, here we go."
Yeah.
So I mean, that's scary.
And the fact that there are places locally I know that it will advertise they're gluten free, and then we've got a gluten free pizza crust, and then cook it in the same pans,
Right on top of the flour.
And it's like, well, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah, there's one or two locally that do that.
So, I mean, the fact that you have a place that cares enough to do, and it makes sense that they would do it for insurance and safety issues, but like they could easily just say, yeah, we don't have anything.
Yep.
Sorry. See you later. I mean, and the fact that you guys were able to enjoy churros this last time, because we went to Tiffin's and you were able to get the churros over
awesome.
at the lounge, Nomad Lounge.
I don't think I had a churro since the mid '90s.
Yeah. So that was just, that's awesome. That's a great number one, and that's why food's on my list.
Yeah, it's a biggie for us. Our little family. It's it's a comfort. We can keep going back. It's never anything we have to worry about.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
anyway, what's your number one here?
My number one is big picture. Okay.
Good.
My number one is something I think everybody who goes to Disney is thankful for. And I am thankful for the amazing memories that Disney World gives me.
Sure. There's a lot of pieces there too.
So, without getting uber cheesy, I would like for you to figure out a time where our families would have vacationed together if it weren't for Disney.
Yeah, well, you guys are
would.
big baseball people. We wouldn't have done a baseball game.
Right, yeah.
That wouldn't have worked either. Well, maybe soccer, but I don't love soccer like you do.
But we spent a week together in Disney. I don't think that would ever happen, right? And
I got one.
Okay.
We go to Miami for a Bills game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe.
See, that's the closest I can think of.
I mean, so the memories that my kids will have for a lifetime of going to Disney with their good friends.
Yeah.
The memories I will have of being able to make my mother's dream of going to Disney come true. The memories of seeing my children's faces light up when they saw a character. The image that when somebody says, why do character meet and greets? Why do character dining? All that, right? I have a picture in my head of the reaction of my daughter when she saw Snow White at Storybook Dining. and I have a picture of it, like, so I can literally look at the picture if I want to, and it's this like this bond that she already had with this character who's not. It's a fictional character, right? But
Sure.
but it's still real. Especially when she's coming to your table, squatting down and talking to you and signing her little autograph book and have a conversation, and they don't break character, and seeing that look, those are the memories that I will cherish forever. And so I think without, being too cheesy about it, that really is what I'm thankful for about Disney World, is that the memories that are made there are things that are, the core memories, right? They're the things our children will remember forever, but they're the things that we will remember forever about our children and about traveling with our children and our friends. I will never forget traveling with Rob and his wife and his family. I will never forget being able to sit in the teacups looking across each other and being like, don't you dare spin this. I'm going to kill you if you spin this damn thing.
I may have said that, yes.
Taking, goofy pictures as a family.
Yep.
And as an
Which is maybe something,
and as an extended Diz-list family, you
right?
know?
And you may not have done that before dealing with us crazy people.
No,
who
I mean,
do
we
all
did
the funny
we did
stuff.
We certainly did pictures. We didn't do the themed shirts. That was more of a let's do some themed shirts because it's something we think is stupid. And then we ended up like being like, oh wow, this is actually kind of fun. Well, and now we understand why people do like the Disney bounding and stuff.
There's 8 of us, and we decided to do the 7 dwarves. Each person had one of the dwarves that represented them, and almost all of them really were accurate. And then we had Nick's daughter was Snow White, and each one was a different color, and we lined up like a rainbow. And that picture I'll have for the rest of my life. So honestly, PhotoPass is part of this too.
Well, yeah,
I'm thankful for PhotoPass for that reason too.
The photos that we get are the memories, and you shouldn't need a picture to live in your memories, but at the same time, it certainly helps.
Yeah.
And I will tell you some of the memories that we have, some of the pictures we've had taken to capture moments, formative moments in our children's lives, and in our families' lives. It's just the memories are a big part of what makes Disney, and it's why it's the number one thing that I'm thankful for.
Yeah, that's a great one. So, I mean, we overlapped a little bit on some of these, but there wasn't something you mentioned that I don't think is great and would be perfect on my list. And you said the same thing about mine. So, again, I'm so thankful that this exists. There's so much happiness in this place. And, we could probably go on and on for all the other things that we're thankful for in this park. But
you said you had some honorable mentions.
yeah, I do. And none of them are quite as specific or tuned in as everything that I had prepared for these ones specifically. So
That's fine.
I had the weather, most of the time. I know it's mega hot, but, at least we don't have to shovel your way through the snow, which is what we're dealing with here right now in Western New York. But generally the weather's pretty good. I know there's hurricanes. I know that a lot of times during a good chunk of the year in Orlando, it rains every day, downpours every day at 4:00. But generally the weather is a dream. And that's why I'm pretty sure that Walt and Roy said, it's always good weather. People are going to want to go and vacation down in this area. So
even if it's bad weather, it's predictable.
It is. I mean, we remember our first day we went to Magic Kingdom. I mean, it was pouring rain, and honestly, we have some really funny memories. Being in that little alcove and watching it rain and being soaked on Space Mountain. Like I have some great memories from us walking around in the rain, and that made it that much more unique. So another one I had too. I'm thankful for the Disney bloggers and vloggers and social media people, because those people keep me in Walt Disney World year round.
Yeah.
So there's too many to name. We'll use, for example, our buddies at Ear Scouts. I love to just, every time they have new content, turn it on. And I feel like I'm at the park with Rob and Eric walking around, and it keeps me in that Disney mindset and just the sights and the sounds. So I'm very thankful for that. So I guess that also to YouTube for existing to having content like that. What else do I have? Hotels we talked about a little bit. That was on my list too. And I'm thankful for the free transportation, which that stuff's just kind of minor.
Transportation.
What do you have for yours?
So I actually, instead of doing my honorable mentions, because we've done a lot of the stuff that we're thankful for, I posted something on Instagram and asked people to tell us what they're thankful for.
Oh, really?
And I'd like to give 3 of them in particular.
Cool.
I thought they were kind of cool.
Let's do it.
So over on Instagram, Desi Princess Palomi said that she was thankful for first aid and how well Disney treats people that don't feel well.
Oh, great.
And I think, knock on wood, had never had to experience that. But I'm glad to know that people who don't feel well or people who need it can count on that. So I didn't, press for more. But I think so I don't know what her experience is with it, but that's awesome that they're, and I think, just what we saw in the queue for Slinky Dog.
Yeah.
They shut down the whole queue. They made it so people weren't gawking, right? They had stuff blocking the area. We just knew that there was a stretcher there and they were putting somebody on a stretcher and taking them out.
And some people were mad in line, which is understandable. You're hot, you're in line, but they made that person's health the priority.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yep. So that's one. Mouse Metric over on Instagram said they are thankful for it. So I want to hang out with Mouse Metric because I love this answer, and you won't be able to actually partake in this answer.
Then I know the answer now.
The Sanaa bread service.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like the beer choices or something.
No, the beer choices are horrible at Disney World, so I am not going.
I went a different direction on that. Okay,
the tequila choices maybe.
I've had.
The Sanaa bread service, which is like something I'm really looking forward to if we're staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge next year. But and then vacay with Amanda, she said, I like this, Dole Whip. Okay, that's something I am particularly thankful for.
Me too.
Big Thunder Mountain. My daughter would say, yep. I'm thankful for that as well.
There's a great new Thunder Mountain t-shirt on Shop Disney, by the way.
And there's one I don't necessarily agree with, but hey, you can be thankful for it. And I guess it makes sense because they kind of serve a Thanksgiving dinner, and that's Liberty Tree Tavern.
Oh, okay.
They serve that like family style dinner that's kind of Thanksgiving-y, which I don't know that I would dig.
My wife, when we went 1 year for Christmas, we did Festival of the Holidays.
Oh, I really want to do Festival of the Holidays.
Yeah.
Over in Epcot?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I really want to do it.
We did the American Pavilion, and it was turkey and cranberry and I think mashed potatoes and green beans, but it's a smaller portion. So we're walking around and she says, "Oh, I want to do the turkey and the mashed potatoes." She loves mashed potatoes. It's like my wife's favorite food. So she goes up and I can't remember if I got it or not, but we sat down and we were eating, and she sits there and she looks down and slowly looks up at me, and I'm like, "What?" She goes, "I want it again. I want more." I go, "All right, go ahead." So she goes up and she gets another helping, and she goes, "I would like another one, but I'm not going to. Let's keep walking." I go, all right. So she loved it. She loved it so much she went back up and got in line for a second helping of it.
Yeah, so a lot of people love the Christmas party, right? Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Mm-hmm. While I would love to attend that, I really want to do Festival of the Holidays. It
was cool.
First of all, I have not been able to be at the parks during the holiday season. I really, really want to do that, but Festival of the Holidays, every piece of content I see coming out of I will watch it on loop, and look at all this stuff. So that's kind of cool.
We did because when we went that trip, we did the dining plan, and
you had a ton of snack credits that you had to use.
Exactly. So we had all these, and they're not doing the dining plan now. They may bring it back. I don't know. I'm not the person to report on that. But we had all these snack credits left. It was our last day at Epcot. It was just my wife and I. My kids went off with family members. I forgot what they did that day. But so my wife and I, we used up all the snack credits, and we did every single food item that was gluten-free that we could have that day. It was great. So yeah, we walked around the decor obviously at Disney World and at Christmas time is absolutely amazing. I mean, they go all out. They go hard. So you walk into Magic Kingdom and you have that enormous tree, and so
We're coming up with like a top 25 list of things we're thankful for right
Yeah.
now, which is totally fine. This has been a fun episode, really.
Definitely.
Because it instead of, wrestling over ideas of things like, that may be controversial or whatever, like
Well, and
you can't be controversial about things you're thankful for, except for, turkey legs. But that's,
and it's good to be positive once in a while too, right?
I guess. It's not as fun. But this has been a great episode to record, and I do want to just take another moment to recognize the amazing listeners that we have and followers on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. We're kind of small over there. I mean, we're small everywhere, but really on TikTok. So I honestly can say that if you had told me that we would be doing this for 21 episodes and that we would still be enjoying it and still be coming up with fun topics, and like I knew we would enjoy talking about Disney, but the interactions that we've been getting on social media, the relationships we've built, like some people who I would consider friends now, that it's like in what world would I be friends with two guys who are like YouTube famous, right?
Right.
I mean, Rob and Eric are like great guys.
Yeah. We talk to them
over
all
at
the
Ear
time.
Scouts, and then the travel agents who will constantly. A lot of travel agents are on Disney Instagram, and I get a lot of comments from a lot of them. Just like, oh, I love that reel. This is something that I've experienced with that. You should add this. So just really great relationships. I really want to thank everybody again.
Or even my buddies from college, how they're going to Disney with their families and they chat with us, Brian and Todd and Mikey, and
Yeah.
they're always shooting us messages, and you've gotten to know my friends through that too.
And people just, it's fun, right? And it's people who don't necessarily see us in the Disney light. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like some of our students.
Our students too,
Our
yeah.
students who listen are like, most of my students would not say, oh yeah, that guy's definitely into Disney. And like, they listen to an episode like, wait a second, where's the grumpy math teacher? So, but it really has been a great episode to record. And the last thing I want to say is I want to thank Rob, because without his knowledge of recording and stuff, and his ability with production, we wouldn't be doing this. So thank you, and thanks for pushing it.
And I'll thank Nick for keeping me on track, because I am very easily distracted. I'm definitely an artist to the core, and I forget things, and I'll get a text Tuesday night saying, "Hey, don't forget to do the artwork." Oh, dang it! All right, not that I'm mad, but like I feel bad that I forgot I do the artwork and send it over. So yeah. So thanks again, everybody.
Yep.
And
it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.